It's time to finish it off, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and enemies. Arachnophiles on Unfair. Into the breach, we've got Ralph Carlson, the OG, in a heavily upgraded bulk mech with Force Amp. We got Silica with a cryo launcher, maximum upgrades in the Arachnoid mech. And finally, Ghana in the max upgraded slide mech, save a extra equipment slot that we didn't really wind up filling. And it is time for the final mission, the Volcanic Island. We can see that there's going to be some grid pylons landing on B5 and B6, and I saved a power core on Ghana's passive, since it is basically useless on the second half of this mission. We've got a pair of fireflies, a beetle, a crab, and then the blobber leader and the scorpion leader to contend with. I'm trying to deploy my mechs such that they do not get webbed by the scorpion leader, but that's about the best that I can do. So let's see how things shake out. Here on this first turn, we're going to get some lava flows, which will hopefully defend our backline against the likes of the blobber leader. And then, as luck would have it, we luck out. We don't actually have to worry about that blobber bomb. It's going to sink into the lava. However, we have three grid tiles being threatened. The one on D3 being threatened by no fewer than 3 enemies. So this is a tricky first turn. You know, we don't want to try and give up any grid health if we don't have to. And I think that I stared at this board state for quite some time and fiddled around with my options. You know, the slide mech can potentially do a 2-for-1 here by moving the beetle and the firefly, but that leaves the rest of the enemies to contend with. And I was struggling to think of a good use for the arachnoid mech or the bulk mech. I do commit to this 2-for-1 solve. Don't know if it was the 100% most optimal option, but I was relatively happy with it. And, you know, I'm playing around with positioning. I'm considering maybe freeing or freezing someone. But with this particular loadout here, we're still going to be losing a grid health. Oh, actually, no, we're not. Okay, the idea behind it was to have the scorpion leader push the firefly and then free the arachnoid mech for me. A clever bit of body blocking and positioning. The sort of skill that you can refine if you really commit to the steel judoka philosophy. I'm happy to see the blobber leader and one of the fireflies enters an instant death tile for us. So once again, we've got 3 grid tiles being threatened. The firefly on C2 is threatening the grid pylons on C8. And then we've got the blobber bomb and the scorpion leader attacking another grid pylon. However, I figured out an interesting little solve here. Spawning a spiderling protects that grid tile, and then we are in the clear. The firefly will actually wind up killing the scorpion leader for us, so my other mechs are free to simply do some cleanup on this board. And the next turn will be a very manageable 2v3, my favor. We will have 1 turn left before the halfway point, and the game will want to start filling up spawns to make up for the enemy deficit. But we get a very easy 2-for-1 solve here with the slide mech. And then Ghana gets their final level up, and of course Ghana gets popular hero. Of course. I think that would be the 4th popular hero I've seen on this run. It's kind of ridiculous. I guess nobody likes Ralph. Everyone's more popular than Ralph Carlson. Does he deserve that? I don't think so. It's just how it shook out. We do some very aggressive spawn blocking. And we will have a final round of 2v3 my favor, which is very comfortable to be in, and I was happy to have the first half of the mission go by with no damage to the grid. We were lucky. However, the second half is usually a little bit more nasty. The AI is much more prone to going for a sort of kill shot at that first turn on the second half. So we will see how this shakes out. I was trying to see if I could engineer a way for Silica to get some more XP, but I don't think it really shook out. But that's fine. I think I just settle for a total board wipe. And I'm also not sure if I ever use Silica's passive ability during this entire final mission, the act twice if you stand still. You know, mobility is very valuable. Especially when you're relying on something like the cryo launcher. Granted, you can stand still, fire the cryo launcher, and then unfreeze yourself with Silica, but, you know, that means you're not moving, which limits your targets and attack vectors. So for the second half, we have a crab leader, beetle leader, an alpha beetle, scorpion, firefly, scarab, and digger. A very, oh, I guess that second beetle is just going to be crushed. It doesn't count. So this is a very diverse op 4. We've got webbing, lobbing projectiles, direct fire projectiles, boulder obstacles. It's quite a mess. And unfortunately, we've got some serious threats to the grid. 4 grid pylons are being threatened in total, and 2 of said pylons are being threatened by 2 separate VEC. So unless I can really engineer some efficient 2-for-1s, we're going to be in trouble here. And I think after scrutinizing this map for a while, I came to the conclusion that I was not going to be able to save everything. But that's okay. You know, we've got full grid health, which means we can afford to, you know, take some damage if need be. It's just a matter of how can I most efficiently use the resources in front of me. The ricochet rockets targets were relatively limited as far as like a shot that would actually solve problems. So I elect instead to try and set things up for future problem solving. Clearing out these boulders, opening up some, you know, maneuverability, hopefully. Thanks to the shield ally upgrade, we can at least keep the Renfield bomb out of harm's way and do some body blocking. And then that left the Arachnoid mech with relatively limited targets available. I maybe could have killed the crab leader and then done something with a spiderling. But instead, I elect to save the grid tile on G5, but I'm giving up on the other 2 threatened grid tiles. So we will be losing 4 grid health, which is quite costly. But the Renfield bomb is, you know, going to be undamaged. We just need to manage the rest of this as carefully as we can. But the other downside is because we didn't actually kill anything, we're going to have a 7v3. Oh, I guess it's still a 6v3 because the crab leader did wind up getting killed by the digger. That might have also been part of the reason that I committed to that attack. Now the enemy seems to have it in for the Renfield bomb. And 2 grid tiles are being threatened as well. So we have to save at least one of them, and it would be ideal to also not lose the Renfield bomb in the process. Once again, the bulk mech just really was not able to get a good bead on anything, so we wind up just killing the digger and removing that problem from anything we have to worry about. We can then protect the Renfield bomb and get rid of that scarab. But once again, I am now giving up the grid tile on B2. I do not think there's anything that Silica is able to do to save it. So I think the best play is to block a spawn with Silica and use the cryo launcher. And we will be down to 1 grid health, which means I can no longer afford to make any mistakes or do any sacrifice plays. 2 turns left. I was definitely starting to feel the pressure now. Last time I did this sort of gambit on betting against my own grid health, it cost me dearly, if you want to watch the conclusion to the Frozen Titans run. But we're finally down to a somewhat more manageable 3v3. Silica has a good angle on the Scorpion, so that will protect that grid tile. And then it's just a matter of how many spawns can I block and how many enemies can I clean up before the final turn. We can do 2 of said things with the slide mech, but the bulk mech just was having bad luck this time. It always seemed to be a little bit out of position. I chalk it up largely to the digger obscuring its view and keeping it from being in a good position. But that's okay. Even with 2 turns, we are in decent shape here. Our final turn will be a 3v3, and in theory, that should be GG. Our final obstacle, our final challenge, is a Firefly, Hornet, and Crab. Only the Crab is threatening the grid, and the Renfield bomb would be able to tank a single hit, but we don't have to do that. And finally, we get that solve, and that will be GG. Wasn't too bad, really. Yes, I had to sacrifice some grid health, but I felt like things were relatively under control. It was just a matter of managing and prioritizing threats. Sometimes you're in a position where you can afford to maybe give up some health on the Renfield bomb, blah blah blah. But it all worked out in the end. This timeline is saved, and the next squad I have for you is the Mist Eaters. Arguably the strongest squad in the game. The only other real contender being the bomber mechs, I would say. Personally, this is just my own hot take. I think the bomber mechs are the strongest. But the Mist Eaters are certainly no slouch, and I'm excited to showcase them for you guys. So share with your pals that enjoy Into the Breach or pixelated strategy games. Hit that subscribe button, smash the bell, eat the algorithm, devour its essence, and then have a second phase transformation where, you grow twice as powerful. Peace out, everybody. I'll talk to you later.